I'm Bailey from Glowforge.
I'm Nick from Glowforge.
Today we are doing a little masterclass deep dive on a printing technique. These are really fun live streams we do about once a week or so. So tell us what you think, tell us where you're tuning in from, and tell us the other types of prints you'd like to see. But today we're doing something called a living hinge. I actually just learned from Googling that there's another technique called a living hinge that's plastic, that has to do with like if you open a little plastic cosmetic bottle and bendy plastic. That's not what we're talking about today.
No, we're not injection molding anything. This
right,
is, yeah. And to be honest, we don't really know the history of living hinges necessarily. When I joined the laser world here about 6 years ago, it was something that I just found.
Yeah.
And I imagine it was somebody who experimented with a technique, put it online to share it with the world, and it just kind of exploded from there. But it is very cool, and it's kind of something that's, well, somewhat unique to lasers,
right.
Really. You could do this with other techniques, but the laser works the best.
Right, so what we mean by a living hinge is, in this case, is a cutting technique done with a laser that creates a bendable piece of wood. It can bend 180 degrees.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. And we have a bunch of different examples here to share with you, but here's one that we've shown before that might look familiar from one of our customers called Akika.
Yeah.
Now, her work is incredible, so look her up on Instagram. She's Louisiana-based.
One close.
Graphic designer and laser artist. But this clutch here, this purse clutch, you can call it a clutch, right?
Yeah.
I'm not getting that wrong, okay. This is made from 1/8 inch thick plywood. This is wood. This is a solid material. But because of this cutting technique that we've applied here, if I open this up, this wood suddenly and miraculously becomes incredibly flexible. How cool is that? So Akika's essentially created a textile by cutting this wood and manipulating it in this particular way to create something that's really striking and pretty unique.
Yeah.
And she's not the only one who's experimenting with that. I mean, we've got
a
few different clutches here, or purses.
Yeah, purses or bags are definitely a popular one because you get the durability of the wood and just a unique look, obviously.
Yeah, we just saw a backpack, didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
Which was really cool. We've not seen those before. But yeah, here's a couple of examples. This one, oops, sorry to whoever
I love
made this
the leather. This one actually,
Yeah.
the Akika one actually uses paper inside, just to mention that. That's kind of amazing. Is it paper?
It is. I forget what it's
kind
called.
of a foam
You
paper?
know on the back of your jeans when you get that little patch where it's printed? It's that kind of stuff. It's like it's a washable paper. It's very cool material. If anybody remembers what it's called.
Seems hard to tear and everything.
Yeah. But it cuts beautifully.
So that's
we
what
have
that
a roll
is.
of it over
then
there.
this is leather.
This is leather on top, which the combination of materials is really nice. And you can see this person's utilized a living hinge there to give this bag a really nice
slightly different
shape.
design, though, from the other one that we saw.
Yeah.
There's a bunch, if you Google living hinge and wood and see, there's a bunch of different shapes of them.
Exactly. And I think this is the cool thing, and this is one of the things that we really want to share with people out there. I'm sure sure you've heard of living hinges. If you look at designs, you'll find things that seem to have curvature. But as you dig a little deeper and you start to experiment, you can be really, really cool and really decorative with the living hinge. And this one is a really nice design. If you get the close-up on that, Bailey, you can see how at the intersection of those little lines, they've added a little cross piece. So you get just a little extra visual detail.
The kind of diamond shape you mean, because that's not necessary, that's just for aesthetics.
No, absolutely. Because when I first joined, this is the type of thing that you would typically see. And these are just straight lines, basically, just straight cuts. And they work great. This one's very old, and it's, it's kind of showing its age a little bit. But you can see just how sort of plain and utilitarian that looks compared to something like that.
Beautiful.
And then, if you want to take it a step further, I was digging around and I found some of these swatches online, which I think are pretty cool. Now, we didn't create these. I just found them by going through Pinterest down a rabbit hole.
So these are the creators right here?
I think so,
Okay.
yeah. Now, whether they're the originals, I'm not really sure.
Wow.
But I think it's a very
wow.
cool demonstration of what you can do with this technique. This one's awesome because it gives you like a three-dimensional kind of thing. So you can imagine using this on something that had to bend in 3D. And this pattern's pretty big. If you shrunk this down by half, you'd, in theory, get about twice the amount of flexibility out of that, too.
That is so cool.
And then this design here is very open, so we got lots of holes which could show through, a fabric or a backer or something like that, kind of like what Akika did. And then this one's very decorative, but is utilizing closed holes.
So this, maybe I'm just scared to bend it. This doesn't seem as bendy as the other two.
Exactly, and I thought that was interesting about these swatches.
You would think that this would be really bendy because of all the open space, but it's more
not.
structured.
Yet Akika's, which also has a lot of open space, is super flexible. And that's all to do with the size of the holes in relation to how they're joined together, essentially. Now, there'll be some technical terms that I don't know, and I chose not to look them up so I didn't look like a fool on air. But basically, the wider that slot is that you cut, and the more of them that you cut, or the more material that you remove, the more flexible it can be. Because what you'll often find with some of these ones with the, where you're just using a simple cut, as they bend, the material essentially bunches together. Like the edges here and here and here, they're starting to touch. And as soon as they touch, they can't flex anymore. All they can do is break, which is why you need a quite dense pattern to get a lot of flexibility out of it.
That makes sense.
Which is super cool. And, if I pull this one up, this is a design which I'm sure we've seen before. This is one of our catalog designs. It was a design of the month a little while ago.
It's like a jukebox that you could set a phone in, and it'll sort of amplify the music or what have you. So
yeah, absolutely. And it just looks kind of cool too. But this person, it was somebody called Nick, and I forget his surname. I'm so sorry, Nick.
Oh yeah,
you remember?
He's really cool. Yeah.
But like, look how flexible this is. Like, if I pinch this, look, it's just like just like a fabric. It's crazy.
That's amazing.
Right? It's so. I kind of wish everybody out there could grab hold of it right now because that is so satisfying. Like, that's a solid material. That should not be able to do that.
That's amazing.
And that's science. But yeah, because of the curve of the laser and how fine it is and how we can create these fine lines, it's very easy to create a pattern like this.
Super cool.
Yeah, it's great. And the swatches themselves, you can find them online. There's tons of them. You don't necessarily have to draw them yourself.
The designs for the so swatches, you mean like it's pieces of the bendy part design?
Exactly. And there's some that you can buy. There's some that you can create yourself. Some that are free. Have a look out there and experiment. But we're going to share a couple of tips with you with regards to what we've learned over the years about living hinges. But I'm also going to do a very quick demo of the printer for those of you out there who maybe haven't seen this in action before. And I have a very quick I say quick, it's about 10-minute print, something like that.
Okay, cool.
Folding tablet stand, which utilizes that living hinge technique.
And is that from the Glowforge catalog
This is the Glowforge catalog.
So for those of you that have a Glowforge or even don't, you can check out catalog.glowforge.com to see our catalog of designs. These are like print ready. They're really good for last minute stuff. They're also totally customizable. So like the tablet stand, you could add graphics or art to or what have you. So check that out.
Absolutely. And we'll dive right in. And apologies to those of you out there who are all familiar with this. We've got a huge range of people that join this stream, and I know some of you out there are just literally looking to see what this is like to use. So this is for you. And I'm going to share my screen really quick, and I'll show you exactly what we're looking at. So right now, I have a Glowforge Pro attached to my computer, and this is the Glowforge Print App. Now, this is all web-based, so it doesn't matter if you're on a Mac or a PC, maybe you want to use your tablet. If you can access a website, you can access the app. And what we're looking at right here is what we call live preview. It's my favorite feature, and we're using a camera built into Glowforge to see what's inside. And here, I've got my digital design, and if I move it over the black area, you can see those little notches that we're going to be cutting out to create the flexible portion of this design. And I also have a piece of material already in the bed. Now, the beauty of live design, live preview, sorry, I should, given that it's my favorite feature, I should really know what it's called, right?
I like you're just branding on the fly.
You know, yeah, I'm just changing things up. The beauty of live preview is that I can take my digital design and I can put it exactly where I want it to print. So on this piece of material right here, you know, obviously I've got some holes that I've cut out for different prints in the past. I can move this wherever I want it to go, so I can use this material really efficiently and effectively. So don't throw away your scraps. You can always make something with those scraps. Now the material I'm using is actually plywood, and that's really important. Living hinges don't really work with many materials. You need that laminated structure in order to facilitate that bending.
Got it, okay.
Hardwood, for example, it has a grain running all the way through it. That grain is going to interfere with that technique. And
because it almost like could start a little crack or something like that.
Exactly,
yeah.
I
can see that.
Yeah, now for those of you who are out there and maybe feeling a little adventurous, maybe you're an advanced laser user, you can make hardwood bend if, and this, I'm not demonstrating this today, but if you wanted to try this, you need to figure out a setting that will cut about halfway through your material. And then on one side, you can cut a series of parallel lines and then flip the material over and cut that same series of parallel lines at 45 degrees.
Clever.
And basically they intersect in the middle of the material and they can facilitate a bend in a hardwood. I've seen people do it with table saws and plywoods and things like this. You can do it with a laser. It's kind of advanced. It doesn't really work all the time, but if you want to try it, feel free.
I imagine too, if you were going to use hardwood and did a living hinge technique, if you were maybe just doing the bend once and gluing it into place rather than something like a book or a purse that like you bend all the time,
Absolutely.
that could be better.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, if you want to bend something and you're only seeing one side, like if you cut away most of the other side to facilitate that bend, that could work too. Yeah. But at the end of the day, plywood is much cheaper than a hardwood in the same physical size. Like if you want to make something big, like buying a piece of hardwood that is that wide and that large would run you a pretty penny. So, you know, avoid that. Same with acrylics too. Unfortunately, acrylics, they're very brittle and they don't lend themselves to this technique very well either. Some other plastics might, but you'll need to look up, of course, whether they're going to be laser safe or not.
And you could do it with like a leather, I suppose. You just don't really need to. It already bends. But if you had like a stiff leather or other things, maybe paper.
And, you know, even if you develop just a cool looking pattern, you could always just engrave that on a surface because it looks neat, right? You know, you're not forced to use it for what it's meant to be for. But anyway, back to this demo. So here we have live preview. We've got our design. I've dragged it where I want it to print. Next step, we're going to choose our material. And right now it's already selected in the top left-hand corner of it. Let's say it wasn't. I can type in and I can find the material that I want right here. And what's important about that is it preloads the cut settings or the printing settings for this material. So here I've got two different print steps, and as I hover over, let me zoom in so you can all see, it's going to highlight the different part of the print that is relevant to that particular step. And by a step, I mean a combination of speed and power. So this is going to allow us to cut through that material. But really, that's it. That's all we have to do. It's that simple. Now, I can copy and paste this if we want to do multiples. I can delete them. We can scale. We can rotate. Tons of control. If you can use a piece of word processing software, you can be successful with this. It's really, really straightforward.
Definitely.
And then all I'm going to do next is hit print. Now, what that's going to do is take that design. It's going to turn it into a bunch of code and math and send it up to our cloud for processing.
A bunch of math.
You know, it's early. Who wants to do math at this time of the day? It'll send it back down to the Glowforge where we have a single button. And when that button flashes, you know your print is ready to go. All we have to do is hit it and we can kick things right off.
All right, now, so here's
here's our material.
Material. You can see we're using something we used for a previous print. That's the beauty of that, that camera.
Yeah, I'm going to use this sheet of material until it's all gone.
This is glowing. I'm going to go ahead and press it.
Beautiful. Now, I know there's a bit of controversy sometimes about whether Glowforge should be Wi-Fi connected or not, but one of the real benefits to this that might not be obvious to some of you out there is the way that we control and manage the software. Now, what I mean by that is every time you open your computer or your browser and you log in, you're using the latest and greatest version of that software. There's nothing to download, nothing to install. It just works.
Yes.
I like to say to people that the day your Glowforge arrives, it's the worst it's ever going to be, because just incrementally over time, every month, you know, every quarter, there are significant updates that are released, different features, different capabilities. It might be things like material settings. We just added cardboard, for example, a little while back. You know, things like that. That are really, really helpful to you as an end user of the Glowforge. So try not to feel too negatively about it being a Wi-Fi connected product. I can tell you there's a ton of benefits to it.
And the great thing is it does send the whole design up to the cloud and process it before the print starts. So once your print has started, even if you for some reason lost connection during the print, it is able to finish the print. It's already up there in the cloud, or it's down in the Glowforge locally at that point, rather.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Which is hopefully reassuring. It also means, of course, when you're setting up your machine, there's only two things that go in or out. There's the power cable, which is just a standard 110-volt connection, and then there is the silver vent hose, which comes out the back and can either go out of your window or into the compact filter.
I can show you that real quick. So this is for venting, as Nick was just saying. So this comes with it. This is just like an aluminum dryer hose, like for, you know, AC or dryer or what have you. So what I do is I just throw the other end of this out the window. We also have, if I turn around here, underneath the desk, our little demo unit of, this is the Glowforge air filter. So this end here would hook to the Glowforge. We've got ours in front of us, and I don't want to show you that mess right now.
Yes, yeah.
One day we'll do it behind the scenes. Never mind the man behind the curtain, yeah. Behind the scenes of Mike standing right here. Hi, Mike.
All right, well, this is telling me that we only have 50 seconds left.
It's a quick print.
That went really quick. Actually, do you want to get the camera on there and show people just how quickly this can print? Now, bear in mind, we're cutting through 1/8-inch thick solid maple plywood right now. And this is real time, real speed. So cutting is a very quick operation. Now, the print itself takes a little while because we've got such a high density of cuts where that living hinge component is. But you know, if you think about this, let's say you were printing these to give away, or maybe you were selling them, and everything in the Glowforge shop, or at least the majority of it, can be sold once you've printed it. So if you want to make a few dollars, bear that in mind. But you can just leave this printing. You could arrange, what, 8 of these, 10 of these on one sheet, send it to print, and while that's happening, you could be working on your next design, you could be emailing your customers, whatever it might be. So it's really hands-off once the print has been sent. And that's it. How cool.
This is such a clever little design because it's like immediately usable too, right?
Yeah, it's so simple. And I've thought about printing these before and kind of containing it in the waste, almost like a postcard, and you could write something on it, ship it to someone, they pop it out, they can use it, all that kind of stuff, you know?
Clever. That's a good way to ship fragile things if you're a seller as well.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Flat shipping.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, in fact. And so here's our print. Here's our scrap. Like I said, don't throw this away. Let's keep this for next time.
So here it is, and then I don't know if we have a tablet, but if we had a tablet, it would sit right here. So you'll notice this. Let's look at it up close. Has a little bit of charring around the print, around the edge. You can even see it's kind of like sticky looking. That actually is, I think it's a couple things. I think it's the natural resins from the wood combining with perhaps a little bit of the adhesive in the paper, because we actually, can I do this with one hand and my left hand?
I can help if you want.
Yeah, so we have masking on top of here. So look at that. That's this maple underneath. And see, it's nice and clean. And to get it from the cuts, I would probably use something like duct tape.
Yeah, something really sticky. You could absolutely peel it with your fingers if you really want to.
So you can just see the difference here and here.
After 6 years of peeling the tape, I find any way that I can to not have to do it.
I know, I know.
If you have a toddler at home, mine loves to peel the paper off my laser prints. I don't know what it is, but it's very satisfying for him, so I just peel the corner up and leave him over there for 5 minutes.
Oh, that's funny.
It's the quietest he's ever been. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is kind of, I mean, it's kind of relaxing. It's just, it can be tedious. But yes, if you had a piece of Gorilla Tape, you just stick it over and it brings it all up at once.
Which is really awesome.
Rather than doing that. But this is the masking that we do on our proof grade materials. Nick, mentioned it when he was showing you the software demo a moment ago, but he didn't have to fuss with the settings at all because of the QR code that was on the piece of maple proof grade that he put in. So the machine was able to read the settings and do the cut and engrave, or I guess this was just cuts, cut settings.
But it could have been engraves too. That's the thing,
so Glowforge can also engrave and also score, which is a slightly different version of engraving, drawing lines, or actually a really good technique for kind of like cutting partially through thinner materials to show someone where to fold or where to apply, I don't know, like letters or something like that.
Yeah, if you want to make a stencil, for adhesive, that kind of thing. Yeah, if you're interested in paper craft or packaging, scoring is a really great place to be able to create that fold, like Bailey said. or you could cut a dotted line to create a perforation too.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
that's really cool.
Exactly.
But just to clarify, proof grade materials are materials made by Glowforge. We design them to basically take care of all that bit in the middle of having an idea and holding the finished thing in your hand. So the settings, the material production, the quality control, all that kind of stuff, we vet very, very carefully. So all of this material is very consistent, very high quality. All of the woods are pre-sanded and finished with a furniture quality UV coating on there. Everything has the masking, like Bailey said. We know the settings that work really well with these materials, and they're all built into the app. Now, you don't have to use them, of course. I was definitely a proponent of going to my local big box store and buying a sheet of material and cutting it down, until I realized that if I put a dollar amount to my time when I was doing that, this actually worked out to be the best result. So,
because often when you're sourcing for yourself, your sources could change. Like fun facts that you would never know unless you are in the wood industry or work at Glowforge, but apparently a lot of plywood manufacturers use glitter in the plywood, so inside, so it doesn't look glittery, it's inside the middle between the finished surfaces to kind of identify where it comes from, and that doesn't play particularly well with the Glowforge, so we have glitter-free plywood.
Which is not a phrase I ever thought we'd say.
I mean, no, glitter-free.
And the reason I'm holding this pack up just to demonstrate is every Glowforge comes with a pack of proof grade materials, so you can try it out for yourself and see if it's going to work for you.
So this one is worth about $150, and it'll come with it. So your Glowforge will also have some starter designs, so you can be printing. I mean, folks are usually printing within about 30 minutes of opening up the box. So it's pretty easy to set up. It's just like connect it to Wi-Fi and go, and then there's a little walkthrough that'll get you going.
So yeah, well worth a try. And if you're interested in selling things too, if you sell something that's kind of small, there's enough material in here that you can make a lot of money with that starter pack.
Like
even if you don't use it for anything else.
But then, of course, like Nick said, you don't need to use proof grade materials. You could source your own. You can also print on things that are not wood. We last week did a stream on printing on rocks, so check that out if that's something that you're interested in. Because we always say as an example, you can go walk on the beach and pick up a rock and print right on that. And so we wanted to put our money where our mouth is. So check that out.
Do that one. Yeah. But also you can take advantage of that hard work that we did with proof grade settings. If you find a piece of I say a piece of wood. This is much more than a piece of wood. This is a finished serving tray or something like this.
Anything you might buy at like a Michael's or Amazon or anything that's like, or even a boutique. This looks actually very nice. I don't know if this was a mass-produced thing. It kind of doesn't look like it. But,
I honestly don't remember.
But mass-produced, pre-made blanks like flasks and cutting boards and pizza trays and things like that. You can engrave, and you can start, I think you were saying, Nick, you can start with our settings.
Yes, before you rudely interrupted me.
Sorry.
No, but Bailey's absolutely right. Find something that seems kind of similar in our menu, click it, try out a little test print maybe on the back or a spare one or something like that, and from there you can tweak the setting. And you can save it too. So, if this needs a bit less power, just turn it down, save it with the custom name, you're good to go.
Love that.
There we go. And then, so I'm trying to think if we covered everything that we want to talk about when it comes to living hinges. So, one more tip. So when a living hinge bends, you want to make sure that your cuts go beyond the radius of the curve that you're trying to produce. You're not going to get a sharp bend essentially with this thing.
Yeah,
so
no
you need
90
a gradual
degrees.
thing. Absolutely. So you may find you need to extend those cuts a little further than you might expect. As soon as you try it for the first time, it'll become really obvious and you'll know exactly what I mean. But just think about that when you're planning this.
Nice.
Plywoods only. That's really going to get you the best results. Experiment with the different cut patterns that you're making. Like
and the size of those patterns.
And the size of them too, yeah. The more dense they are and the wider or longer those cuts are, the more flexible your piece is likely to be. What else have we got? I'm trying to think. Customer designs, fun patterns, plywoods only. Experiment with your patterns. I think that was about it, really, wasn't it? Yeah, I think that's it.
As a starting point, if you just want to try it out and not design or source your own, again, there's a few different designs in the Glowforge catalog that do have that living hinge in it.
That's true.
The mailbox, the jukebox, and I think there's at least one more. There's like this little
pencil case?
gift that. Oh, there's a pencil case. Maybe there's a few, and then there's also something that would go around a wine bottle, like a gift tag.
Oh, like a tag, yeah, hooks over the neck. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And I just put this on the table. This is something that Yeah, I made a long time ago. It's a prototype. It looks a little rough, I know. But for the top of this, I used a living hinge design with pass-through to create a 3-layered stool that you can see has got this gentle curve to it. And I purposely exaggerated the cuts just for a design
I mean, and it
feature
looks
here.
like they would be like, I mean, there was pieces of material that came out of this. This
Yeah.
isn't just
Oh, yeah.
a cut through. This is like a whole
Yeah, and actually,
piece.
these pieces of material, I kept them for a stir six for paint because they're the perfect size and shape. So don't throw all your scraps.
There you go.
You never know when they could be
I love
useful.
it. That's really funny.
But there you go. That's living
Hinges.
hinges. They're really fun. Definitely try them out. I hope this was helpful. If it wasn't, feel free to let us know. If you needed a little bit more, let us know. Or as always, throw those questions in chat, add the comments after the stream.
Yeah.
And I think that pretty much
Let
sums
us
it
know
up.
if there's any other techniques you are looking for us to do something like this about, and we'll get it on the calendar. We'll see you guys
Awesome.
soon.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.